Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday when you're watching this, May 13th. Today we're going to be doing Chapter 12, Lesson 5 in the 6th grade math book. And the topic is line graphs. This is a pretty nice way for us to finish out the week. Topic a lot of you are probably pretty familiar with. Line graphs are used to show change over the course of time, and I think you'll pick up on that pretty quickly today. Today, for some of the problems, we'll be asked to construct a line graph. A lot of the times they'll already make the line graph for us, and all we'll have to do is we'll answer questions. A lot of times making approximations or predictions based on the data that we see on the graph, and then we'll kind of be making our best guess when we respond to these. It'll make a little bit more sense when you see as we start getting into the questions. I'm going to go over questions on 904, and I think I'm going to look through problems 1 through 5, and number 1 is going to require me to make a line graph, so I might have to make that with the camera off since I have a hard time writing as is with the thing going, so we'll see. Straight lines, not my thing. I'm not completely positive, but if this ends up being the last math lesson of the year, do want you guys to know that I miss you and definitely feel like we got shorted out of a good time. I hope you were having a good time. I know I was having a good time teaching you guys. You were a fun crew. So most of you will be back next year, and I hope to see you. Come by, say hi anytime you want. If you still have earbuds in my classroom, I left them hanging on the wall, so when we come back, you can come back and grab them. I also had a couple basketballs with no names on them, so if one of those is yours, come by and claim it. All right, before we get rolling, dog park actually. There's a dog park by me. It's by the Highway 202. You might be familiar with. I think it's called like Cosmos. But they have like a pond or a lake or whatnot. My dog enjoys going there. He doesn't really like the water, but he just kind of like runs along the edge. But lately I've been bringing him there, and every time I bring him there, he gets attacked by ducks. These ducks just fly in and just start taking naps and nips at him. I guess that's what I get for buying a purebred. Here we go, page 904, line graphs. So for this very first one, they're actually asking us to construct a line graph in the space they've given. They've already labeled our y-axis and our x-axis for us. You can see I mentioned earlier that it shows change over time. So here's our time along the bottom. And we're going to kind of see how these numbers change as we go through the years. So when we're plotting our data, we're just going to go ahead and first make dots, and then we'll later connect those dots to make lines. So 1940, we got 2,875, and you're going to have to do some approximating. So here's my 1940, and I'm going up to 2,875. We're going to call it right about there. Then we got 2,740. And then for 1960, it's 2,600. And I think you get the idea. I'll pause it while I complete them. All right, all my dots are placed on here. Even without me connecting the dots, you probably see the story this tells about the world's tropical rainforest. You can see that in 1940, and this was in millions of acres, we had almost 3,000 million acres. And as time has gone on, what do you see that's happening? You can see that we're having a reduction in the number of acres of the world's tropical rainforest. So I'm going to connect them. Maybe a felt tip marker isn't the best choice for today. All right. And we can see at the end, did you notice it got a little, quite a bit steeper here at the end? In the beginning, it was kind of a gradual decline. And then as the years passed, it started getting a little bit steeper and steeper, which would indicate more and more of the rainforest was disappearing rapidly or at a quicker pace. The first question's asking us, number 2, describe the change in the world's remaining rainforest from 1940 to 2010. So one sample answer that we could say is the size of the rainforest has been rapidly decreasing from 1940 to 2010. Or you could say, you know, overall we noticed it was decreasing from 1940 till, let's say, about 1990, and then from 1990 it started increasing dropping at an even faster rate. But the first comment I made would be just fine for you to put down there. We noticed that there's a rapid drop in the number of acres of rainforest since 1940. So number 3 says, describe the trend in the remaining tropical forest. Well, this is going to sound pretty similar. This is a line graph that represents the tropical rainforest. And what do you see that's trending here? Does it look like the acres of the forest is going up? Does it look like it's varying, sometimes going up, sometimes going down? It's not what I see. I see that the size of the rainforest is decreasing. And we could say just that. Describe the trend. The amount in the rainforest is decreasing. If it were going up and down, we'd say that. We'd say, you know, some years it's decreasing, while from this year to this year we noticed an increase. Unfortunately for this, we only see a decrease or a trend going down. All right, so number 4, it says predict. And since it is a prediction, please know we can't be exact here in our prediction. We're just taking our best guess based on what the data gives us. It wants to know how many million acres there will be left in 2020. So you'll notice our graph ends here at 2010. So I'm going to extend it just as if it were to 2020. And I'm just going to draw a little line up. If you can eyeball this, by all means, just eyeball it. But for me, it helps to see this. Now, do you see how this trend is kind of going in this motion? So I'm going to extend it until it hits this line that I've created at about the same steepness as what was before, because we can only go off of what we see happening. So our prediction is it's probably going to continue at that same rate. For me, and maybe it looks like I extended this line out a little bit far, I ended up touching base at around 250. I think it's probably closer, though, to somewhere around in here if I had done a better job of drawing my line. So my better guess would say it's probably going to be around 400 to 500 millions of acres. But again, just do your best with that. We're just approximating. As long as you're not saying something like, oh, I think we'll be at, let's see, where were we? We were at like 800. So if you thought, you know, oh, in 2010, we'll probably be at 1,250. Well, nothing about this graph gives us reason to believe that this should be all of a sudden increasing. So just go ahead and continue it along the path and make your best guess as to where it would fall on that graph. Again, I think it'd be about 400, 500 maybe. And number 5, it's probably going to start to feel maybe like you're repeating yourself at this point. I know I sometimes do. It says, what does the graph tell you about the future changes in the rainforest? Well, we can only go off of what we see on the graph. And what we see on the graph, it tells us that the future of the rainforest is going to continue to decrease. So we could just make a comment simply like that. Say the rainforests are decreasing in size. We see it every year, so you can expect that to continue. Now, if our graph showed something differently, again, like I mentioned, if it's going down some years and then up, then you would just note that as well. Imagine if you saw something that went like this, and then all of a sudden something changed, maybe some policy or something changed or some law, and all of a sudden the line started going like that. You'd want to make note of that. You'd say, well, we noticed in the beginning that there was a downward trend and the forests were disappearing, but then something happened, let's say 1970, and now the numbers of millions of acres of rainforest is trending upwards, and we would expect that to continue then. So just look at the graph, take what it gives you, and make smart comments or observations based on what they give you. All right, guys, I am signing off for Wednesday. Take care. I hope you have a good week. And if this is my last one, I hope you have a great summer. Miss y'all. Bye-bye.